This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the Daily FX Forum.
So here are the 5 pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, the Euro Swiss, as well as the Euro Aussie. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. If you recall, during the past 2 reports, the short trade from 88.23, you should all be in, assuming you did listen to those reports. So right now, I would continue to hold the trade. Prices right now about 87.02, as I mentioned during yesterday's report, moving the stop from 89.23 down to about 88.75. I would just go ahead and keep the stop right now at 88.75. I don't envision prices coming back up to that 88.40 area, but just to be safe, I would keep that stop there. And again, just stay in the trade. There is a possibility for a hedge. I wouldn't take profits on this trade yet, but I might enter a short trade on the Pound Swiss, which I will mention in 2 charts. The next chart is the Aussie Kiwi, and if you were in that trade, which was short from 25.45 with a stop at the 126 figure, you were most likely stopped out. Prices made a high of about 25.93 during yesterday's session. Really depends on the spread, but I'm just going to assume that you were stopped out at the 126 figure, and if that's the case, I would just stay on the sidelines right now. If you were not stopped out, I would just go ahead and exit the trade. I was assuming a head and shoulder pattern here. We have too much penetration now on the right shoulder. We have a previous spike as well as this current candle, again, which is spiking above the right shoulder. I just don't like the way this looks, so I'd go ahead and exit all trades immediately on the Aussie Kiwi, and I will update tomorrow if there are any new trade setups. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and again, this is a trade that I mentioned during the Euro Pound chart, and this is the channel line that I've been using for the past several weeks now in the pair. Again, if you recall, this long trade based on the lower channel line here, we did cover after about 110 pip gain, but that's okay. And so right now prices are hovering on the upper resistance line here. I actually like this trade, short trade, right now entering short 169.26 with about a 50 pip stop, so let's call it 169.76. So again, that would be short 169.26 with a stop at 169.76. And again, this would be more of a hedge for that Euro Pound trade, just in case the Euro Pound does find a base here and rallies a little bit. If that's the case, the Pound Swiss should fall, assuming a historical correlation. For the past few months, I wouldn't really call it historical, but anyway, if that correlation does continue, that's what should happen. The next chart is the Euro Swiss, and you should still be in that trade from yesterday, which would be long at 147.44 with a stop at 147.20. If you did not enter, you're listening to this report for the first time tonight, I would go ahead and enter now. That would be long 147.42 with a stop at 147.20, again based on the doji here and the low of that doji, which is 47.22, and again I want to stop just a few pips beneath that low at 47.20. The next chart is the Euro Aussie, and as you recall yesterday, I was trying to pick the bottom, and that's one of the things about trading. When you make mistakes, the one thing I ask in the market is that if I make a mistake, that I get penalized. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen is that if you make a mistake and you make money, you learn on some level, even though you might think to yourself that you got lucky, you learn on some level that it's okay to make mistakes. So this was a opportunity where I was actually picking the bottom, but I did keep the risk very tight, and it's a trade that I would enter in the future again. We risked only 36 pips. It was an entry at 155.36 with a stop right at the figure at 155, and we were stopped out if you did enter that trade. So right now, with prices breaking beneath that low, I would just stay on the sidelines and again wait to see if there are any favorable candlestick patterns where we can find another favorable risk-to-reward trade. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the Daily FX Forums. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the Daily FX Forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as Daily FX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to, shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. Obviously, my username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and Daily FX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there. You'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the Daily FX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the Daily FX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.